Good evening and welcome to the Lagos studios of IATV. I am Adegboyega Labiron with the news. The abducted acting director of Lagos State Fire Service, Rasaki Musibao, today resumed duties in his Alausa office in Ikeja. His colleagues, who were full of joy, thronged out of their offices to welcome him as he walked into the premises. Rasaki, who was visibly full of thanks, greeted them one after another for their prayers and good wishes. Though he declined addressing newsmen on his ordeal, he took time to respond to all the people gathered as he walked into his office. Meanwhile, 2 suspects have been arrested in connection with the adoption of the director of Lagos State Fire Service and 6 others. According to the Police Public Relations Officer, Lagos Command, they were arrested by the command's tactical teams, led by Officer in charge of Anti-Kidnapping Unit, Superintendent of Police, Bulus Musa. The suspects, namely Blessing Bayo and Smart Alfred, who were in their 30s and hail from Arugbo, Ondo State, were arrested in the early hours of today at Ibafun along Ikorodu Ijebu Ode Expressway, a boundary community with Ogun State. And now to Ondo State. Following Monday's bank robbery in Idoani, Ondo State Police Command says efforts are underway to reinforce security around banks in the state. The State Commissioner of Police, Undie Adie, stated this while speaking on the incident that claimed 7 lives. Adie said the command is on the trail of those behind the Idoani bank robbery. He maintained that men of the command will leave no stone unturned in achieving peaceful atmosphere in the state. He said there were plans to review security measures around banks in all the 18 local government areas of the state.
We instantly effected an arrest there, and investigation progressing. At this point, it will not be proper, it will not be professional for me to begin to give you details. We are taking steps to make sure that we reinforce security around the banks at the outskirts, just as we have done in Akure, in the state capital. We are taking steps to around the banking areas in the various local governments.
The Ondo State Police Command also paraded 5 suspected kidnappers.
Kidnap me, I kidnap person for this life. Now first kidnap with this.
It is hoped that police authorities in the state will match their words with action. Over now to Osun State. Police in Osun State have paraded a 9-man suspected armed robbers who were alleged to have been terrorizing some communities in the state. The command also paraded the kingpin of a gang of fraudsters, Aziz Ishola, who has been at large for almost 2 years, was also lined up in the parade.
They called me that we should wait for an armed robbery operation. So on getting there, we would not succeed. They ran away. They caught me. But when I was caught, I was not caught with anything.
I've carried them to about 5 operations.
Can you name the places?
We just met at last year, November. We met at last year.
We don't go like 3 operations.
You make use of
We do use gun.
how many guns do you have?
Me, I have 1 gun. This one have 1 gun. This one have 1 gun. They go. We need to go also. And our shop we do go.
Yes, they say I'm the ring leader. I accepted, but what actually happened is that the last time I went to prison, that I joined a bad group. So I didn't rob, I didn't ever rob, and this is the first time that I'm robbing, and they caught me.
Items recovered from the suspects include mobile phones, motorcycles, locally made guns, axes, cartridges, charms, and other valuables. According to the State Commissioner of Police, Abiodun Ige, all the suspects paraded will be charged to court.
Recovered. They have a set like that. That's the first set. You know, like we said, they are serial suspected armed robbers. They go from one place to commit their crimes, and we are able to arrest 6 of them. Just arrested the kingpin, the head of the group. They have they are a group of fraudsters. Their shrine had been demolished, and then we have their kingpin arrested here. We cannot have any meaningful economic development and growth without adequate security. The media and the police have a role to play in defense of crime, with greater understanding among us, as we are all stakeholders in peace, order, good governance, security of the state and the country at large.
Ige said the suspects have made confessional statements that will help the police in the course of investigation. Over now to Kwara State. The Secretary General, International Peace Research Association, Professor Mark Meyer, has described Africa as the cradle of 21st century peacemaking. Meyer said if the African traditional way of resolving conflicts was replicated globally, the world will know peace. He stated this at the second Distinguished Personality Lecture of the Center for Peace and Strategic Studies, University of Ilorin.
It is not a coincidence, reviewing the history and recent trends in peace research and action, south to north and into the future, find so many roads leading from and to the continent of Africa. It is not, as we've seen, some simple propaganda to state that Africa is the cradle of modern 21st century peacemaking.
The Secretary General was emphatic in his submission that Africa was in custody of the key to global peacemaking. Peace scholars attributed Nigeria's unending conflicts to poverty and the activities of conflict merchants. They challenged government to be proactive in dealing with conflicts.
Should be more proactive. Firstly, to identify those who are fueling conflict, those who are fueling violence, and those who are being apprehended should meet with the force of the law. If such people are apprehended and punished, it will deter others.
If there is righteousness in the heart, there will be beauty in the character. If there is beauty in the character, there will be harmony in the home. If there is harmony in the home, there will be order in the nation. And there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world.
The scholars also call for more actionable academic researches that can help in promoting peace across the globe. Reactions have continued to trail the legal controversy surrounding former CJN's trial and his subsequent voluntary retirement. From questions on the merits of all allegations leveled against him to the yardsticks for the recommendation of compulsory retirement and the consequences of his eventual voluntary retirement, stakeholders in the nation's judiciary have continued to hold different views. In this report, IATV Lagos Studio takes a look at all legal issues thrown up with a view to drawing out the lessons therein. The report.
In handing over the documents to the Federal Prime Minister, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa,
in the annals of Nigeria's history, the current impasse between the leadership of the judiciary and the federal government will make it the second time the leadership of the two arms of government will be against each other, leading to the removal of the Chief Justice of the Federation. The first instance was in 1975 when the then world-renowned Justice Teslim Olawale Elias was removed from office by the Murtala Muhammad military government strictly for non-democratic reasons, unlike the Honores case where the executive claims allegations of corruption. Stakeholders in the judiciary say late Teslim Olawale's case was excusable as it was a military setup, but pulling down the nation's judiciary henchmen on the grounds of corruption without fully exhausting the legal process is questionable.
We issued a public statement when the Onogen thing started and said, look, federal government, you are wrong in initiating this criminal prosecution. Why? Because there is a judgment of the Court of Appeal. I'm a rule of law person. Yes, I believe that sitting judges, serving judges could be tried, but the Court of Appeal has intervened to say no. So until that judgment is set aside, you cannot proceed as if that judgment is not binding on you. Question, what was the NJC doing before the CCT matter came up? So they weren't aware of the allegations against the CJN. The NJC conduct in the matter is not without blame. So if they are now playing this tailist role that you've talked about, it is because of contrition. It's because of recognition that they ought to have acted earlier and that they refused to act.
Like some of his colleagues at the bar, Ogunye faults the NJC for its compulsory retirement recommendation, which is said is alien to the Nigerian laws.
If it's true that they are recommending compulsory retirement, what place do we have the idea of a compulsory retirement of a judicial officer who is not ill, who is not indisposed? So why do you want to retire him compulsorily? You have a petition before you. It is either the petition is proven and is found guilty and culpable, or is not. If he's not guilty, recall him to his office, reinstate him, and let him continue his CJship. Right? So where do you have this whole idea of soft landing?
With Onoye's voluntary retirement a few days ago, the legal rigmarole and arrays of political controversies surrounding the former CJN would now take a new twist.
Voluntary resign, one part. You have been charged to court is another part. Until when the court discharge you, maybe discharged and acquitted, that you are free, they cannot take you again before you can say you are free. But once it has already been in the court, your retirement or whatever, it doesn't stand. It doesn't stand until the law takes its course.
You die for what you believe in. I respect Justice Onoge. He went the legitimate way to play justice in the allegations which is before the CCT.
Another question that begs for answers is what will become of the CCT judgment if it goes against the CJN? Will the likely punishment of dismissal still hold waters now that he has voluntarily resigned?
The court has not been struck out, the judgments have not been delivered, so that the man still continues standing the trial within the law, waiting for the outcome of the court.
The custodian of the law of a country, you must subject yourself to the process. And it's a lesson for all law students, specifically practicing lawyers like myself. Again, if he's not guilty, he will get justice. In this country, I'm certain.
The debate goes on and on with almost unending divergent views. But in all, the judiciary should learn from the drama and get stronger in the interest of both the bar, the bench, and the vulnerable common man whose faith perpetually hangs on the blind eyes of the law. Thompson Andrew, IATV News, Lagos.